the inbound secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the inbound. This is the inbound. This is the inbound. The inbound. This is the inbound secret.
What's going on, John? Thanks for coming on. I know you've got a ton of stuff on your plate with Entrepreneurs on Fire. You've got your doggo behind you. I know I just saw that. I've got my kitty back here. They're
little gussy poo.
Oh, he looks tired. So I'm just going to dive right on in, man. A lot of our audience is looking to start podcasts, kind of start in the entrepreneurial game, or maybe they've plateaued, right? You've been able to generate 16 mil plus by using this platform, something that everybody from Joe Rogan has proven to be viable to Tony Robbins and yourself. For the people getting started in it, what's kind of the fulcrum point that they need to focus on? Is it consistency? Is it content? Is it guests? Tell me about what's gotten you to where EOF is now.
Listen, I was a first mover. First movers get the first mover advantage. I launched a show interviewing entrepreneurs that if I launched in 2021, it would fail, it would flop, it would never get off the ground because everybody's doing it. The reason why I won was because back in 2012, I identified a real problem in the market, a real void. There was no daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. So Bryce, the day I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire, it was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I was the only show in town. That was it. That's why I won. And the same goes today. You need to identify how you can be the only, how you can say, what is one problem in this world that my podcast can provide the best solution to? If you do that, you will win. If you don't do that, you will lose. I wish it was more complicated, but it's not.
Well, it's I love the simplicity. One of the biggest things that we teach here, because we're all about helping people thrive, not just survive, right? And we have this, it's almost like this stigma that people have that come onto our show or that listen to the show or join our community is something maybe simple and easy, but what's the difference? Well, easy means it doesn't take a lot of effort. Simple means it can be done, doesn't mean effort's not included. So from the sounds of it, exclusivity is kind of the key nature of getting your podcast to where it's making a big impact as well as profitable. How, in your case, you saw a problem. What did you find helped you identify that issue that you could be the solution for?
Because I was a consumer of content, brother. I was listening to podcasts. I found shows that I loved that were interviewing entrepreneurs, that were dropping value bombs, that were talking about their successes, their failures, their stories, this and that. I was like, this show's amazing. It comes out once a week. That's not enough for me because I just listened to all their back catalog in a month and this next show doesn't come out for 5 more days. I need more of this content. So I'm like, I'm just going to go find that show that's 7 days a week, dropping a value bomb episode with a successful entrepreneur. It didn't exist. And I said, why not follow Ghani's advice and be the change you want to see in the world? And you know what even fired me up even more, Bryce? I hired one of the top business podcast hosts out there, Jamie Masters. I joined Cliff Ravenscraft's $3,500 podcast masterminds. And what did they both tell me? John, it can't be done. It can't be done. A daily show can't be done. And I said, thank you for telling me that. Because if the best people in the industry really believe, truly believe this can't be done, and I find a way to do it, think about the opportunity.
It's a game changer at that point, for sure.
Bryce, the higher the barrier, the lower the competition. A 7-day-a-week podcast is a really high barrier. So I've basically had no competition for years and years and years. Sure, some people have launched a daily show and tried to keep up with me and then fallen off by the wayside or gone off in their own directions. you have to build a moat around your business. You have to do something that's going to make you the best and keep you the best. That's how you win.
Awesome. So with a daily show, because we do this weird model where it's typically like 2 to 3 shows a week here at the Inbound Secret. We're not quite daily. We're not quite weekly. We're this like hybrid, because that's where we found our sweet spot. And we did it through a ton of trial and error. For you going in 2012 to starting Entrepreneurs on Fire to what it is today and the impact that you're making today, you've had Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, you've had some of the world's most influential people. What was the build-up time for that? Was it 2012 you came in, you were the only one, 2013 you were just already on fire, or was it like a slow progression?
Listen, it's been a slow and steady growth of the numbers of the downloads of the podcast, but it's been exponential, and we've been with it for so long that we now have over 100 million listens, that, we have 1.4 million listens every single month. So the show's numbers are huge now. It was slow and steady to get here for sure, that growth curve. But hey, that's the beauty of being a first mover. That's the beauty of being the only show in town that was doing this 7-day-a-week podcast that built an audience of listeners fairly quickly. Is that when Gary Vaynerchuk came out with his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, his team came to me. They wanted to promote it on the show, obviously. Same with Tony Robbins with his book, Money Master the Game. His people came to me. I also got a free ticket, a free $10,000 VIP ticket to Business Mastery as well, by the way. So like, it's awesome what happens when you have that opportunity, when you have, that audience, that control, and again, you get there by doing the things that we've been talking about, by identifying a real problem that needs to be solved and providing the best solution to that problem.
Awesome. So one thing that I want to kind of focus on for probably about the remaining time we have in different areas, a lot of these people coming out, I know myself included at one point, was trying to figure out how to monetize the podcast space. And it pretty much comes down to the two most popular: monetized content that the podcast advertises for, the PR move, and then commercial breaks and sponsorships. How have you found the best way to still serve your intent, your purpose, provide that solution at the best way possible, and monetize the podcast?
Listen, we have made millions and millions of dollars on sponsorships over the years. Just last month, we did $80,000. I mean, sponsorships are a massive income stream for us because we have a massive listener base, but that is not the case for 99.9% of shows. And I run the biggest paid podcasting community in the world, Podcasters Paradise. We teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their podcast. Like, it's the best in the biz. Your chances of actually succeeding as a podcaster go up exponential just by being part of the group for all the obvious reasons. All the good, serious podcasters are in Podcasters Paradise because they understand what it means to invest in yourself and to make things happen. And the first thing you learn is, do not waste your time chasing sponsorships, because you're not going to make any money doing it. Any meaningful money is not going to happen in 99.9% of podcasts ever. So don't even worry about that. Don't even go down that road. It's a huge mistake. Instead, create free, valuable, and consistent content. Have an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you. Ask your audience, what's your biggest struggle right now? And listen to them. Tell you what their struggles are. And then you provide the solution in the form of a product or a service or a community or coaching, whatever that might look like. You keep people in your community that way. You keep people in your sphere, in your circle, instead of sending them off to some other company and some other products and services for them to spend money somewhere else in exchange for you getting a couple dollars, literally a couple dollars for a sponsorship read. It's just not worth it. That's the best way to monetize by a long shot.
Perfect. It seems to follow the same trajectory as really how social media has evolved, right? Social media for a long time was person-to-person connection, community builds, groups, and Facebook kind of led that trajectory of, well, groups can build a community that knows, likes, and trusts you, and you can monetize because now you can be the solution, the provider for their resolution. Is it true that you see the same trends, like many people do, between the evolution of podcasts getting more and more popular, especially through this pandemic, and the growth and success of most social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, etc.
It's the same trajectory. It's the same exact story, different platform, different day. The one that's going up, catching on fire right now, which I'm a huge fan and a huge proponent of, is Clubhouse. It's crushing it right now. And if you're in Clubhouse, like, you know why, you know why, you see why it works. So it's the same story, different day. And that's why it's so important to always be willing to test, to always be willing to experiment in different things. Like, frankly, there's so many things over the years that haven't, tasted good to me, metaphorically. Periscope, Meerkat, TikTok, Reels, all these things, they've never interested me. So I just don't spend my time on it. But then something like Clubhouse comes along. And because I've said no to all these other things, I have the time, energy, freedom, and bandwidth to go like all in on something like this and to really make an indent. And that's where the key is.
Awesome. So last but not least, I'm a big fan, the Inbound Secrets community is a big fan of helping impact-driven entrepreneurs win. We help winners win more, make a bigger impact. So like one of my good friends, Akbar Sheikh, says, so they can make more to give more, right? How do you see, and you've gone through this experience, you went through building something from scratch in 2012 to what it is now. What was your biggest motivator to stay committed to the consistency it takes to do a daily show?
The ripple effect. Seeing that the interviews that I was doing, the words that were being shared by my guests, by myself on these episodes, were inspiring so many people around the world. And I'm talking about the 145 countries that our show is listened to in, to go and do something that they might not otherwise have done. And now they're inspiring other people, and so on and so forth down the line. That ripple effect, it's everything. It's why I kept doing the show for so long daily. That's why I've got to 3,000 episodes. And it's my inspiration.
Awesome. I love it. Well, you guys heard it straight from John Lee Dumas's mouth himself. Impact first, solve the problem, be consistent at it, and go for that ripple effect with actual free, valuable content. John, I've got to thank you for making time to come onto the show. Everybody, I know you're running Entrepreneurs on Fire. What's the best place? Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify?
Well, now that you asked, specifically, I'd like to share that I spent all of 2020 busting my little booty, writing my first traditionally published book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. It's a culmination of the 3,000 interviews I've done on Entrepreneurs on Fire. And I've been able to create a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. I partner with HarperCollins. I've gone all in. I have Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel, Erica Mandy, Dory Clark as endorsers, personal endorsers of the book. And it's available on March 23rd. But don't wait for March 23rd, because we have 5 amazing bonuses for every single person who pre-orders. Just one of the bonuses, Bryce, I'm shipping all 3 of my journals to the door of every single person who pre-orders a $17 Kindle version of this book or the $28 hardcover. I'm shipping it to your door, $150 worth of journals shipped to your door, plus 4 other amazing bonuses that, by the way, we're pulling as the weeks go forward. So to get all 5 bonuses, head over to uncommonsuccessbook.com, uncommonsuccessbook.com. Pre-order today. This book will change your life.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Guys, make sure you go there, uncommonsuccessbook.com, correct?
That's the one, brother.
Awesome. I hope everybody that's watched and listened takes advantage of that. John, I've got to thank you again. It was a pleasure having you on. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Adios, Bryce.
This is the Inbound Secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound.